Hey guys, it's Two Guys in Hockey Talk. I'm Pavel.
And I'm Evan. Stoked to be back with tonight's roundtable at Two Guys and Hockey Talk for tonight's Stanley Cup edition. Another packed show, Pavel. So everyone, grab your bevy, throw back the popcorn. This is another show you're going to be glad you booked.
Right on, Evan. Woo! Yeah, it's been great. It's been a chaotic week for a lot of teams. We're finally down to the second round where almost every team has been eliminated. So we have 8 teams left vowing for Lord Stanley. But before we get to all what's been happening, some of the teams that have been eliminated, Toronto, Minnesota, Florida, what to do next with those teams. I wanted to kind of talk base about some of the things happening around the league. I know you've got some hot takes. I just wanted to share one.
Yeah,
I got to present my beautiful retro Minnesota Wild jersey. And even though they lost, they did take it to Game 7, which was awesome, which we'll talk about later. But it has been kind of reported that Bill Guerin offered Kirill Kaprizov 8x8, the max, currently, because they loved what they saw from that star young rookie. And can you imagine, Evan, if Marco Rossi got to play this year? I mean, I know he was kind of hit with COVID. You know, he had a great World. Great solid performance, but he may be back next year, and that line could be unstoppable. And him and Fiala and Rossi, can you imagine?
Yeah, Rossi. So, do we know how well he's performed this last year?
So he was doing well in the Worlds, but then he was sidelined because of COVID. So he went back home, spent some time with his family. I know he's trying to get back up to it because he was going to be in the farm team for Minnesota, which he was going to play there and see maybe if he was brought up, right? Well, see, the Minnesota Wild are an interesting team. They have a lot of potential next year. They have exciting hockey. Bill Guerin has really infused some life into that team. I'm looking forward to see what Minnesota does in the offseason, right? They've got some cool pieces coming along, right? I'm a big fan of Matt Zuccarello. I think he's a very underrated player. I think he doesn't get talked about enough. But no, that team, man, they know how to perform. Speaking,
I was going to say though, I think Rossi's going to be about a year in their development league though, because this last year he didn't get a lot of games played, right? So he played in the World Championships, but he only got one game in for the Lions, for the Zouk Lions. So. Unfortunately, COVID has knocked the snot out of a lot of these prospects. It'll be interesting. I was going to say, so Anton Lundell, another prospect. Now, Florida got knocked out by Tampa, but just think of it. They got Lundell ready to go, and he had another solid year in the Liga, just pretty much matched to what Puljujarvi did the previous year. So they're just picking up another player and a good full season of Bennett. You know, how good is Florida going to be in the next couple of years?
They've got some great draft prospects. I think they're loaded up on the goaltending depth. I mean, how do you get away from that? You know, you've got Spencer Knight, who played unreal. He stopped, I think, 36 out of 37 or 35 out of 36 shots in his first game. Granted, the first one went in, but he looked steady after that, You had Chris Drieger, who took the number 1 job from Bobrovsky, who technically is your number 1 goaltender for $11+ million. Like, how do you get away from that? What do you do with that contract? And then you also have Dylan Wells there, who played for Team Canada and won the silver against Spencer Knight. So a little healthy competition, but
speaking of goalies, Carter Hart has had a struggle this year. I know a lot of people are talking on Twitter about Carter Hart, just like Price had a bad year and has turned it around. Carter did the same. Since we're talking about Philadelphia, I just want to say we're not going to give it away right now, tonight's draft lottery. But going into tonight's draft lottery, the Flyers have a 1.8% chance of winning the first overall.
But I want to be exciting.
I want to go into something interesting with Claude Giroux. I don't know if people recognize how good this player is. So Claude Giroux is 3rd all-time in points for the Philadelphia Flyers. He's sitting at 858 points, only so he's about 30 points behind Bill Barber, and the only one in front of him is Bobby Clark, the legend. So, man, you got to wonder when you talk about underrated players. Man, Giroux is really an underrated player in the NHL. He doesn't get the year that they took out Crosby was only the real year you really saw, the league stand up and take notice.
Yeah. And honestly, he is in that division, which is very tough with the Washington Capitals and Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby, and then the Pittsburgh, the Battle of Pennsylvania, really what we've seen, and just like for whatever reason, just like the Capitals, the Flyers can't get the Pittsburgh Penguins number and get out of that second or third round and go. But I mean, they were close. And what was it? Was it 2010 or 2013 where they went to the final versus Chicago? That could have been their year.
So the question is, will Carter Hart return to his early form and actually be able to fulfill? I think they have a lot of work to do in their structure and especially on their defense. So we're going to see. But the Flyer fans are going to be happy to know Kevin Hayes has completed his hernia surgery, and he will be back and fresh and ready for next year. Flyer fans. So we're talking about goalies. We mentioned it right here on our podcast. A series wrapped up this week. Toronto, and I'm sorry, Toronto fans. I know the heartache. Edmonton knows your heartache. Philadelphia knows your heartache. A lot of other teams know your heartache. But there has been a lot of talk around this. And the lot of the talk that they've talked about is how good Price played that won this for the Canadians. But I want you to go to our page at Two Guys in Hockey Talk and take a look. I put a mention in there. Carey Price finished that series at a 2.24 goals against average with a .932 save percentage. Incredible. But I said this when we had Desmond on a while back, our Maple Leaf fan. Jack Campbell, he would be good. And Jack Campbell is not the reason they lost. Jack Campbell had a 1.81 goals against average, and he had a .934 save percentage. I'm sorry, it was not the goaltending.
Nope, I agree. And it was not even their defense. Their defense was very solid, and they played a defensive game. And I don't even put this on their bottom six forwards.
Yeah.
Certainly, you always need unsung heroes. And for someone of Jason Spezza's age and reputation, he outperformed.
Excellent.
For $750,000, he was probably one of their best players. And underrated. I'm sure he'll sign one more year.
Underrated at $850,000, eh?
Right. But here's the thing, Toronto fans. As much as I love piling on to everything that you've probably heard and you've seen, and as much as being a similar Oilers fan, being swept by the Winnipeg Jets, it comes down to the fact that your stars need to be better. And I think for whatever reason, Marner and Matthews seemed kind of out of it. They seemed nervous. They seemed not themselves, because you can't tell me those two guys who had, Rocket Richard winner, Austin Matthews, the best goal scorer right now, all time, is debatable. We'll see at the end of his career. Right now, he is better than Ovechkin. He has a sniper. And this year, he was kept off the score sheet a few times, and he played with a wrist injury, and he still got 40-plus goals. So when you're telling me a guy like that can't score, I don't believe it. Mitch Marner was top 5 in points. Yep. He, like McDavid, knows how to make a play. Those two guys are dynamic together. And for the longest time, if fans remember in Toronto, and Desmond can correct me if I'm wrong, or some of our other Toronto fans, and you can comment below, people were upset that Matthews and Marner's weren't playing enough minutes because Babcock was benching them to 17 to 19 minutes and not playing them together. And finally, these guys play together, and for whatever reason, they just weren't clicking. Now, I think one of the reasons this team got swept by Montreal at the end there with the last 3 games, and they were able to come by, is the fact that Sheldon Keefe got a little bit out-coached, similar to Dave Tippett, where he didn't adjust in the game time. You have to switch it up. Right? Nylander was performing. Spezza was performing. Thornton, he was a bigger guy. He didn't show as much, but he's older, but he had that veteran presence, right? Your your D guys were really good. Morgan Riley, solid. Justin Hall, right? Like Jake Muzzin, you go down. It's a very sad injury, just like last year
Yeah.
with Tavares. That's a big loss.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like losing. That's like losing a Draisaitl for Edmonton, or a Mike Scheifele. Like these are irreplaceable centers, right? Like you make a difference. I mean, Scheifele and Line were out last year against in the play-in round versus Calgary, and look how that team fell.
Exactly.
Right? You need that. But Toronto, you need to just focus on one round. Just get out of one round, and you need to adjust your system. So what I believe, and as sucks or as shitty as it may sound, you need to preach patience for one more year. Come back, see what you have next year. You're in a tougher division. You're cap strapped. You know what you have in Jack Campbell. You may need to get a cheaper backup. You may need to re-sign Bogosian, who I personally love as a defenseman. I think he's a great guy. You have Rasmus Sandin coming through the thing. You got Nick Robertson coming up. But your forwards need to be better. And for whatever reason, whatever you need to do, Matthews and Marner need to be better. And I'm not even going to talk about their size, because you can have all players of all sizes perform in the playoffs, as we've seen in the past. Brad Marchand isn't that big, and he performs. For whatever reason, he performs. He's a guy that gets under your skin. Do something that benefits your game. But that's my take.
And Matthews is a big boy, so playing
6'4", 200 pounds.
Yeah, playing him with Marner, it's just like if you have someone like in Edmonton, Yamamoto playing with a Draisaitl. Long as you have a big guy on that line, so the size is it's not truculence. I mean, I really believe the difference of this series was John Tavares. John Tavares getting knocked out of this series. Had nothing to do with them as far as motivation. It had everything to do as a center who wins faceoffs, a center who can be defensive, play a 200-foot game. The importance of two-star centermen is what made that team, and they were behind the ball when that happened. So yeah, I'm going to say Brendan Shanahan though has said that there's something missing in a killer instinct though. That was today's conference that he has, and he says there's going to be changes, but it will not be the Big Four. Because a lot of people like to talk about the Big Four. There's a lot of talk about Nylander or Marner going for Seth Jones. Or guys, stop dreaming about getting Seth Jones. I don't really believe you need Seth Jones. You need those four guys. You got it built into your cap. You're going to go out. Chances are Thornton signs one more year, and they have a year to come out of a different division. A
tougher division.
Yeah. Well, depends. Montreal's pretty tough. They took out Pittsburgh last year when everyone thought Pittsburgh was in. So, but yeah, I get it. But I think, like you said, patience though, right?
100%. 100%. That being said, we want to congratulate, and again, like we did with Winnipeg, we want to highlight the level of success that Montreal Canadiens brought to their game. They brought an A game. Dominic Ducharme outcoached them. I think Carey Price was able to be better than Campbell, but he wasn't out of this world. He wasn't making extreme wild saves. He was dialed in for sure. He was not he was not the goalie of 2014, 2015 when I believe he won the Hart. Like that's how good he was solid. The problem is the team, just like Winnipeg, knew how to shut down Marner and Matthews. Philip Deneau is coming up as a household name because he was a very underrated. He had no points, but he stopped Matthews to one goal only. And to me, that is a big thing.
Well, and clutch saves, right? Clutch saves. That was what was making Carter Hart last year too. Getting clutch saves. That's how Grant Fuhr made his bread and butter. It wasn't his goals against. It wasn't his save percentage. You make the save when you need to make the save, and that's what gives you a career.
And so, speaking of the Canadian division, Evan, who do you have between the Winnipeg Jets and the Montreal Canadiens moving forward, given that it's going to be a battle of the goaltenders?
Yeah. So, I mean, this I was positive the Leafs were going through. They're not. Jets are in. Canadians are in. She's a playing here tonight. And I'm telling you that Winnipeg is deep and they have all their centermen. There's no injuries, so barring any injuries, I still think this is Winnipeg in 6 games.
Okay.
Yeah, Connor's there. Connor Hellebuck can do exactly with Matthews and Marner and Nylander what he did with McDavid and Draisaitl. And
it's going to be a fascinating
structure, right? And structure. If they can play that same structure, they're gonna breeze by this even. But they gotta hold that structure they did against Edmonton.
I think it's going to come down to unsung heroes, and I think for Montreal Canadiens, unlike the last series, they need more of their blue line to contribute. They need more of Shea Weber, Jeff Petrie, who is my lookalike, and I know he gets these good looks from here. But Jeff Petrie, Ben Sherrod, who seems like he's nagging an injury. I don't know, but he seemed a little bit off. He played through it.
Yeah.
Those top 4 guys, and who's that final one? Sherrod, Weber, Petrie, and Evan, help me here.
Sherrod, Weber?
Sherrod, Weber, Petrie, and who's the final?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't follow Montreal well enough to help you here. You put yourself on the spot.
Wow, I'm terrible. Well, I'm sorry. Don't at me, Montreal fans.
So we got Montreal fans. Go ahead, guys. Just put it right there in the comments.
But yeah, it'll be an interesting series. I see it going to Game 7. That's where I see it.
Yeah, Game 7. Oh, you okay? That's fair.
I give the slight edge to Winnipeg just because they have more deep scoring. Yeah. But anything can happen. So we'll see. They have a little bit more veteran leadership and seasoning there in Winnipeg, because they've been through this a few times already in the last few years. So they know what it takes.
Oh, good.
Now, speaking of the teams that would face those teams, we've got Minnesota, who was eliminated by the Golden Knights, facing off after Game 1 with the Colorado Avalanche. And Evan, tell me if you've ever seen a 9-minute power play before in your life.
Never in my life. And that was a perfect opportunity to score 5 goals. After watching the Winnipeg-Edmonton series, I had a hard time understanding how they could pull out 9-minute penalty when there was almost nothing called in that series at all. I've never seen it. I don't think anyone has. Has it been recorded? Is this history breaking?
I don't know. I personally hasn't seen it. I didn't see the history books. I didn't see any quotes on it, but it was just unreal. Now, we had Ryan's dad on a few weeks ago, and I'm sure he has his own opinions on the hit. But, in the playoffs, sometimes anything goes, and it's a scary play. Now, the hit Ryan Graves did on the Vegas Golden Knights player, that could have been a questionable hit too, right? Everything is so fast. Absolutely. It's hard to say what's happening. So the refs are doing their best jobs, and trust me, I'm one to criticize the refs, but it's tough. It's a very physical battle, but Colorado just seemed to come out of nowhere with a lot of steam, a lot of energy, and it's a very tic-tac-toe, and 7-1 in Game 1. It's hard to get away from Colorado going to the final, because whoever comes out of the Winnipeg-Montreal series, they're going to have a hard time. Now, granted, during the regular season, Vegas was able to beat Colorado, so we'll see if they can put up a fight. But
I've said it from the beginning. I just don't think Vegas has the star power. To go against a team like Colorado. Colorado has been building towards this for years. And every once in a while, injuries or other things take them out. I come back to it. Colorado, Tampa, final.
Yeah. And speaking of Tampa Bay and in the final, they are up 2-0 against the Carolina Hurricanes.
Not bad against the jerk crew.
Right?
Bunch of jerks.
Right? What are your thoughts on that series so far?
I've been shocked at because I didn't get to see a lot of the American teams being located in Canada here during this year. I'm not able to pick up all of the games, get a few here and there. But watching how well and how structured both teams are, like every 5 inches of ice they fight for, but they pass on the tape. Like it doesn't look like a game that's out of control. I mean, I feel like we're watching, the Russians play back in the 1970s, like a well-oiled machine. Both Tampa, but Carolina too. It's an amazing series. This easily could be a 2-0 series as well for the Hurricanes. So,
well, they're missing Vincent Trocheck, which is a big loss for them.
Yeah, a great checker too, right?
Yeah.
He really plays the body well, pulls players out, plays a good 200-foot game as well.
Now, Tampa Bay was able to eliminate the Florida Panthers, and I know we chatted a little bit about them, but what are your thoughts moving forward for this offseason for Bill Zito and that team and Joe Quenneville? What do they do? Do they stay the course? I mean, they had a great trade deadline. Sam Bennett was a great pickup for them. Jonathan Huberdeau is lights out. People are realizing he is probably one of the top 10 players in the NHL right now. Right?
Interesting. Zito is the one who said that he's going to go over and pick up Anton Lundell and bring him back with him if he has to get him over here. You could tell he feels he's this close to really building a winner to get him past Tampa. But I have to go back. I got to go back to our Calgary fans. That there was a lot of Calgary fans that were really, really excited, thought they got a good pull out of Bennett because he was going nowhere, doing nothing. Went back with a couple of Calgary fans, and I did some stats work for them. And a lot of people talked about this is Bennett's game. He can play this way in the playoffs, but remember, before the playoffs, he was playing that way. I think he needed to go to a team that was structured to play the way he plays. And as much as people think Calgary is a crash and bash type game, he plays also a finesse game. And that finesse game, I think, has opened up there. I actually expect about a 60-point season out of Bennett next year with the Panthers.
Well, I would too, given that he was playing on the top line, right? That's one of the differences of playing the top line versus playing on the third line in Calgary, right? Like, you can't perform as much. It's much harder to get points when you have fewer minutes on the ice.
But Flame fans will tell you he got a lot of opportunities with Monahan
and
Goudreau.
Oh, right? 100%, 100%.
He had a chance to take Monahan's spot with Goudreau and with Tkachuk. And it just like there was no chemistry, which really goes back to tell you, is there problems somewhere else in the organization that they have to figure out? Are they mishandling their players? I don't know.
Fair enough. I mean, Calgary has some big questions coming up in the offseason. We'll see what takes place there. What does Minnesota have to do, Evan?
I think Minnesota just needs to stay the course. Like, so what was this? Did we mention it off the top here about Kaprizov?
We did, yeah. That they have a tentative offer for him for 8x8 that Bill Guerin offered him.
Man, that early, I know he's a little bit older coming into the NHL, but you know what? You got a big player, you sign him in, like that's a smart call. That's a really smart call. Give that 1 or 2 more seasons, and that contract's going to be sweet butter.
So, I mean, to add to that, I know there's been some chatter in the NHL, and I know Elliot Friedman reported a lot about it, that the cap doesn't look like it's going to go up for a while. It's kind of what they've been saying due to COVID. Yeah. Well, so Elliot's saying that it's going to be up to even 5 years.
Oh,
which,
I heard that, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so he had kind of alluded to that, not confirmed it, right? And, you know, Elliot is very in the know and knows what's going on. But to me personally, I don't know if 5 years is going to be that realistic. I don't even think 2 years is that realistic, because with the new TV deal that has just come in, that has brought in additional money. The pandemic is slowly waning away, where, as you are seeing, and as fans are watching, you guys are watching on TV, a lot of the American cities are filling up to capacity, close to it, with their stadiums, and they're getting fans back, which is great revenue for the owners. I think the cap will go up. So I think general managers are planning for a 2 to 3 year plan where it'll go up probably to about 83 to 84,000 million or whatever it is million, and it will grow quicker than we think. So that's my only thing.
Yeah,
So I think if
Mhm. Yeah, no, I was just gonna say I agree. I think Elliot Friedman is just talking what they're talking. The owners are really trying to downplay this. They're hoping that that they'll be able to pull something out of this. But I could see two more. We know next year it's going to stay flat. The year after, if there's anything, it's minimal. I think they're going to try now. My understanding is the expansion fee dollars do not count in the revenue for
yes,
this coming year.
that's true.
So that's going to help them. But like filling those stadiums, and I think a lot of that's going to have to do with Canada being able to get back to be making some money. So long as Canada's ready to go in September, October, then I think that there's a good chance, especially when you got Toronto, right? You fill that stadium, fill the money, the merchandise. The more you get the players in those stadiums, the more money is spent.
100%. And can I just say, I loved watching the fans, the 2,500 in Montreal Canadiens at the Bell Center. It looked incredible. It was loud, and there were some, Toronto fans there. So that was pretty cool to see. Honestly, I missed fans. I really did.
I was really surprised that the 500 plus health workers were not able to stop the Maple Leafs from choking. Okay,
listen,
that's
Evan,
bad. I'm sorry, guys.
You have to understand that just like Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy, we got to stop believing in this team as adults.
Oh, and I should add a side note for those out there. We're not going to spend time on this topic, but a lot of people, the Maple Leafs now have somebody else with a plural name in football. The Edmonton, the Double E Football Club is now the Edmonton Elks. So if people are saying, well, you can't have plural for Elks, remember, you can't have Leafs. You're supposed to have leaves. So Toronto's done it. Edmonton can do it too in football.
Oh, it's silly at first, but people will catch on. The thing is they went to linguists at Oxford and they discussed with them what is the proper terminology, so they got this right.
Yeah.
I like the name. I really admire the logo. I know, we don't usually talk about football here. We love all sports, but like we have a colleague, a boss who loves the Eskimos / the elk now. And so transitioning to that, he is a big fan, and we are too of the logo. We encourage you to check it out. I think it looks pretty awesome, and I'm looking forward to the CFL season. It's something fun that always happens, especially the rivalry we have with the Rough Riders, with the Stampeders, and the Lions because of those histories there. So I do encourage people to.
I do want to emphasize we are in favor here at Two Guys of the logo, but one half of the team is not in favor of the name. I'm finding a new team, so I've placed it on my personal Facebook page. You can send me something on Twitter. Tell me a reason I should follow your CFL team, because I'm looking for a new team to follow. So like it or hate it. Actually, so let's take the last few minutes that we have here. And let's talk about this. Names of sports teams. So let's specifically work around hockey here.
Yeah.
Why do we follow hockey? Do we follow it because of our love for our city or our town? Do we follow it based on the history of the team? Do we follow it based on the colors? Do we follow it based on the players so we change around? Or do we follow it based on the name of the team?
I mean, it's a bit of both in my mind. I mean, the name is important. It definitely is an identity thing. You look at what high school you went to, and usually you're familiar with the mascot that you represented, or you cheered on for, like I did for the Barons. But I think, it's a love for the city. It's a way of unifying the city. It's why there's such a die-hard love for hockey in every Canadian city, or whatever sport you may be looking at. Those are my thoughts. I think it's a combination of things. It's also a passion for wanting to support something cool, and it's an us versus them. We're a little bit better than you, and So, but I don't know. What are your thoughts?
It's interesting. I mean, because for example, some of our guests, even on our show, don't live in the city, but they still follow that team. Hence the Maple Leafs. In football, the Rough Riders, right? They walk among us. Leafs fans and Hab fans now, and they're not all older who have only followed when there was the original six, or well, okay, that's dating way back, or 21 teams. But interesting enough, I followed a few different teams over the years, and I actually followed because of players and or Cinderella stories. So it was interesting. I did not follow the Pittsburgh Penguins early on. When Mario Lemieux came in, I could not help but follow the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I used to always say, how could you follow a team called the Penguins? But when the Penguins became good with him, it wasn't just about Mario Lemieux, and then it became about the Penguins, and you grow accustomed to the name. So I would say the same for the Minnesota Wild. Never liked the name in the beginning. I've struggled with the team. Always knew the North Stars, but now, the team's attractive now. It's got that look. It's so, yeah. For me, it has a lot to do with players. Quebec, I like them mostly back in the day because of Joe Sakic. So for me, a lot of it has to do with the players. But the second, I try to like the city I'm in and follow as much as I possibly can. But you can be disillusioned after a certain amount of time. Ask former Maple Leafs, ask former Oiler fans. They've just said, you know what? We're tired of the way this franchise is run, and we're moving on. We're taking on a new team.
That's fair. That's fair. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why we and I personally watch playoffs no matter what. Because as much as I have a few favorite teams that I love watching, I do cheer for certain players and for certain franchises. Because I always like seeing a franchise succeed and someone that you don't expect, right? And for example, with what Colorado has done, they are incredible right now. I would love to see Nathan McKinnon hold a cup because I'm sure he would appreciate it, all of it, and probably give credence to the fact that Sidney Crosby paved the way for him to play and trained him to play the way he does right now, because he is honestly unstoppable. Like, he is at a new gear, Edmonton fans, I know McDavid's one of the best, but McKinnon knows how to turn it up in the playoffs. The man is just unbeatable.
Yeah, there's something about his competitive edge against the toughest opponents possible. Yeah, you're right. It's like he's almost tagged off from Crosby for that playoff performer, and that's what makes Crosby a Hall of Famer. It's really not his points. It's how competitive he is in the most competitive times. And as much as Edmonton fans will hate this, until McDavid can literally battle through those problems, he'll never get that same respect that a lot of these other players did. Because Lemieux had the same problem early on.
A lot of good players did. Paul Correa, Timu Solane for the longest time.
Yeah.
Mike Modano. Joe Sakic, like all these all-stars. Steve Yzerman, look how long it took him with Detroit.
Yeah.
What happened, right?
Well, hey, Joe Sakic was 6 or 7 years before they even made the playoffs.
Yeah. 6 years, yeah.
Yeah, and then it was his 8th year that he actually won the cup. So, interesting. So, well, that's going to call it a wrap. Any last thoughts before we go here today?
Yes. I want to know your thoughts for who the Vezina winner is this year and who the Hart winner is. Quickly.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Vezina, I'm giving it to Marc-Andre Fleury. Let's give Math his first Vezina ever, even though that this guy is a Hall of Fame goalie. So Vezina, who's the other one?
Hart, I think it is, isn't it? Hart got released. Matthews, Marner, or Matthews, McDavid, and Crosby. I think, in my mind, Marchand was sniped out of that one, but that's just me.
Yeah, that's interesting. Definitely Connor McDavid. He can't be stopped this year. And what are you taking on those?
Same here. And it'll only top the cake, and I'm sure you'll love it as a Pittsburgh Penguins fans, as well as some other people that follow this show, is Marc-Andre Fleury the Flower returning to Pittsburgh Penguins next season. and helping them go to the final again for one last cup for Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Jeff Carter, and Chris Letang.
I got goosebumps, baby. I got goosebumps.
They can do it. They can do it.
That's awesome. Well, guys, that's a wrap for another show. Thanks for joining us here at Two Guys. So like, follow,
subscribe, sign up, comment, follow, all the things you do online. We appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate the views. Make sure to check out our YouTube page. Keep liking stuff, sharing stuff. We love hearing from you. We love hearing your thoughts, ideas. And Evan, as always,
in the meantime and in between time,
keep your stick on the ice. Stay safe, everyone.
Cheers, guys.